Mary had asked, does your color season slash palette change as you get older?
Yeah, it's a great question. And the answer is sometimes your color palette changes when you age, and sometimes it doesn't. We do sometimes see as people go gray, if they were kind of near the borderline to begin with, that cool gray hair typically pushes them into the summer category because summer is the lightest and coolest type.
Jeannie, thank you so much for joining me today. I have to tell you, my tribe was so excited when I told them that you were going to be coming on the podcast and the YouTube channel. And the questions that they sent in to you, I mean, like just started to flood in. And I thought they were really good too. So I'm excited to dig into it today. Before we get to that, though, I want to introduce you to anybody who might not know you. You are the founder and CEO of Color Guru, one of the first, if I'm not mistaken, virtual color services. Am I right on that?
You are right. Yes. Thank you. I'm so happy to be here chatting with you.
Yes, awesome. So before we get into everybody's questions, let's just deal with the elephant in the room. And, you'd have to live under a rock to not see all of these free AI color analysis services that everybody is offering. So, right now, what is the difference between them and you and having actual human eyeballs looking at your picture and telling you what colors are the best for you?
So, yes, in the last few years, lots of AI color analysis has come on the scene, and lots of algorithms and things like that. And I don't want to say that they don't work because for some people they do work, and for some people they give them an accurate result. For people who are very clearly in their season type. Like if you're a classic winter type and everything about you is winter and you're not on the borderline of two seasons, sometimes AI can give you a really positive and accurate result. The problem is, some people are on the borderline of two seasons, and it's hard to know if you don't have any knowledge about color analysis where you fall. And so it's hard to know if you're going to get an accurate result or not. And we've corrected so many color analysis for people who have. You have to realize, like, it's not just getting the wrong result, it's starting to invest in a wardrobe based on that result.
Yes.
And then you've wasted money pouring into something that isn't really the exact right thing for you. And
Yes.
so we are very adamant about keeping our analysis done by trained, experienced color analysts and also having a personal connection with our customers. It's really important to us. We do operate differently in that way. And I'm really proud of the way we operate in that way, because we just want people to get the most accurate result the first time. So once they start investing in transitioning their wardrobe over to their season type, they're buying the right things that are going to last them for years to come.
Absolutely. And that is so true. And just to give you a shout out, everybody I've spoken to on your team is amazing. So you have done an incredible job putting to a team of really caring, interested, engaged, women together. Out of curiosity, how long do you feel like it takes a human to learn how to do a color analysis correctly and effectively? Because I do know that several of my VIP clients, because we go through each of my 5 steps, and one of them is color analysis, and some of them have had great experiences, and some of them have had not so great experiences. And I always feel like it probably has to do with how long that person and how experienced that person is. I mean, because nobody wants to do a bad job. But what is
Right.
that exactly? Like, is there a
So
time?
for some people, they learn it very quickly, especially if we do have a training program now where we train people to do color analysis. We train a lot of clothing boutique owners, makeup artists, personal stylists who can add it to their services. And a lot of those people, they are, especially like the makeup artists, the personal stylists, hairstylists, they are used to looking at people's skin tone, undertones. They're used to looking at the eye color and what works with their hair color. color. And so they tend to learn faster
Mhm.
than, just maybe somebody who's never looked at people in that way before.
Mhm.
So it really depends. Some people pick it up very quickly. Some people it takes a little bit longer. But our analysts have all been doing this for over, I think our least experienced analyst has been doing this for 4 years.
Oh,
And so our people have a lot of experience. We have our head analyst has been doing this for 9 years with us, and she was a hairstylist to start. She also does our hair color consultations. And so, it just depends on the person and what their background is, like a lot
okay.
of things do.
Okay, gotcha. Oh, that's so interesting because we have that question about hair color. So I'll be excited to get
Yes,
the response to that one.
yes.
Okay, so are you ready to dive into client questions?
Yes, I love this. Yes,
Okay,
let's do it.
okay, good. Okay, so the first question comes from Pat, and she says, "Okay, so after you get your palette, what do you do?"
Yes, I
Which
love
is
this
such
question.
it's such a common question. In fact, I got that from several people who maybe haven't worked with me yet, but are on the newsletter list. So, and I would love to get your thoughts.
Yeah, I have lots of thoughts about it because when you first get your palette, some people are surprised, some people not so surprised. We find that most people do know three or four of their best colors, and they're absolutely right. And they're colors that are just tried and true over the years. They always get compliments when they wear them. They feel amazing in them. They notice it brings out their eye color or makes their skin glow, and then usually, because our cards have like 35 shades on them, usually there's a lot of surprises on that card too. And so there's a lot of new things to try, but they usually have a lot in their wardrobe that already works. And so for most people, this is not a like clear out the wardrobe and start from scratch. People are afraid that it's going to be that, but for most people, it is not that at all. For most people, they already have a lot of things in their wardrobe that work in their color palette. I think it's the perfect time to look at your closet in a fresh way and get rid of the things that are not on your color palette, and B, that you never really wore that much anyway. It's not the time to get rid of things that you love that are not on your color palette. And people are always surprised to hear me say that. But if there's a dress you love and that color is not on your color palette, but you would really be sad to get rid of it at this point, keep it. There are ways to work with it. So you can wear a scarf that's in one of your colors. Maybe you just love the way it fits. That's worth a lot. You know what I mean? You just love the way it fits, right? And what happens is typically as the months go on and you're slowly transitioning to your color palette, which I do recommend a slow transition. That's the people that it really works for and sticks for. A lot of those things will fall away naturally and you won't be sad to get rid of them anymore. It will feel like, oh, wow, maybe I love the way this dress fits, but I would really rather have it in one of my colors. And so it's a great time to take a fresh look at your closet. And a lot of people feel like once they have their color palette in front of them and they can see, like, oh, this makes sense for me, they feel a permission to get rid of things that they haven't been able to get rid of before. And so it can be a great time for clearing, but it shouldn't be a time for clearing things that would really make you sad to get rid of. Maybe that works for you. Maybe, and the other thing that I want to keep in mind with this is when you're looking at your color card, remember the most important place to wear your colors is up against your face. And so some people will get a color palette and it doesn't have black on it. I mean, springs, black is not an ideal color for up against their face. It drains all the color from their face. But does that mean they need to get rid of their black pants? No. They can keep their black pants. You know what I mean? Those aren't reflecting up off of their face. And so black shoes, black accessories, if they like that, a bracelet or belts or things like that. A lot of times springs will hold on to those for a while. And so there's a couple things to think about there, but I think that's a really good way to approach it when you first get your color palette.
Yes, I love that. And I do have to say, Jeannie, that's one of the things that I like most. And I've heard you say it several times, is not in our interview, but just when you've been, doing others and things like that, is to take it slow. And that's one of the things that I tell my clients all the time. This is not time to panic shop and try to fill in a bunch of gaps and things like that. Like, really have a plan, make sure you know what you're looking for, make sure you love what you're putting in there, because to get
Yeah.
rid of a piece that you don't love to replace it with another piece you don't love just doesn't make any, like, it doesn't move us forward at all, right?
100%. And there's also sometimes then people feel like, oh, there's these 35 colors on the color card, and some of them you might not like, and that's okay. You can just ignore them.
Yeah.
There's about 5 colors on my card that I literally just don't wear because I don't prefer them as a color. I still have 30 colors to choose from.
Right.
That's plenty for me.
Yeah.
And so it's like, don't force yourself to go somewhere where you just don't like it. I'm not a purple person. I actually barely ever wear purple. It's just not a color that I'm drawn to. And so generally, I kind of ignore the purples on my card, and I'm fine with that. And I designed the card, so I know those purples
Yeah.
technically look very good on me, but
Right.
I just don't like them. And
Yes.
so remember that you're in control. The card is not in control of you're in control. And also, if you have a color that you love the way you feel in it and it's not on your card, that's the decision. That's a decision for you to make. Now you just have more knowledge. You know what I mean?
Yes. Yes.
So it's some people take the colors and and forever only wear their colors, and
Yeah.
some people are like, this is a nice suggestion, and like I'll learn something from this, but I'm not going to be militant about it. And we have those two extremes and everything in between, and they're all okay.
Yes. Yes. That is so funny. My grandmother was the one that took me to get my first color analysis. And she had, that was back when they had the paint swatches, like
Oh,
the
yes,
fans, right? And
yes.
every time we went shopping, she would bust out with it and make sure it was on her palette before she would purchase it. So yes, to your point, like, very rigid and by the book,
Yes.
100%. But that brings up a good point. And I think one of the things that my clients run into most, to your point, is there's 35 colors that are going to look good on me. And it can be a little bit overwhelming. So I'll tell you what I tell them, and then I would love to get your feedback on additional suggestions. So my recommendation is to start with 2 to 3 neutrals
Mm.
that they love, that make sense, and that are available in the stores, because that's the other thing, right? Like, not every color is available in stores every single season. And then to layer in, depending upon if they're just starting to get their closet together, 2 to 3 accent colors that
Mm.
that make it feel fresh and different and keep it from being boring. What are your thoughts?
I love that. I think that's a great approach and keeps it simpler. And I think the other thing that I would recommend that I have found that's worked for me personally and also a lot of my clients is I feel myself just naturally drawn to the darker and deeper colors on my card in the fall and the winter, and the brighter and lighter colors on my card in the spring and the summer. So I almost sort of separate my card in half somewhat and wear those darker and deeper in the fall and winter. And then in the spring and summer, it's like, oh, look at these fun light colors that I just, when spring comes, I just automatically want to go there. And so I think that's another way. I kind of wear half my card part of the year and the other half of my card the other part of the year, and that really works for me.
I love that. And that was somebody else had asked about transitioning from season to season. And I feel like it almost happens naturally, right? Like, it's going to be
Does.
very difficult to find something in a deep, rich burgundy in April, right? Like,
That's
it's just
right.
not a color. It's just not a color that most retailers are going to have at that time of the year. So it almost gravitates naturally. So, okay.
Yes,
Awesome.
agreed.
Awesome. Okay. So, that, yes, that was, Anne Marie had asked how to transition a palette from summer into fall. So, and she did have another question. So she had obviously gotten her colors done from somebody else, because she had said soft summer to cool summer when, and I'm like not 100% on all of your palettes, but I felt like that was probably calm summer to moonlit summer or something very
Correct.
similar. Is that what you were thinking? Okay. So is it possible to be both, two different color palettes at the same time? She likes colors in both, and they both work with her coloring. What are your suggestions?
Yeah, so there's a lot of overlap. At least I'll speak to our system,
Yep,
which is
please,
calm summer,
please.
moonlit summer. There is a lot of overlap in colors between those two. They have the same neutrals. They're both summer types, so they have gray-based neutrals. They've got charcoal gray as their deepest color, and they've got white true white as their lightest color. And then there are some colors between the two that are different. Moonlit summer is more cool leaning, and calm summer is the closest summer type to autumn. Now, that doesn't mean they're a warm type. They're still a cool type, but they're leaning warmer, and their palette reflects that in some of the colors. And so they have some more greens in their palette, some more warm leaning colors. Their yellow is a little bit warmer. It's more like a butter yellow rather than like a crisper pastel lemon yellow. And so, but I want to answer her question about can you be both at the same time? And the answer is no. You can't really be both. You can be on the borderline of the two. But we find that people always lean towards one or the other. When you take it into account their hair, skin, and eyes, which is a very important point because a lot of color analysis systems do not take into account the hair color. And the hair color makes a big difference. And the reason they don't want to take it into account is because it's the most changeable thing, right? Like people can change their hair color, and can that change their season? Yes. It doesn't always, but it can. And so maybe online you've seen color analysis with the white towel over the head. They don't even take the hair into consideration. I think that's a very bad mistake because sometimes somebody is truly a calm summer with their hair color. You've got to take into account their current hair color, but they're given a moonlit summer palette, a sunlit summer palette, something different. And then when you reveal their hair, it's really not the best palette for them. You can also have somebody on the borderline of two different seasons. You can have a borderline of summer and autumn. As long as the seasons are next to each other, you can be a borderline. And so we see that, and that those cases are always the people who are most confused about which type they are. They've gotten different results online. They've gotten different results from quizzes. And it's almost always because, they truly are on the borderline and they need somebody who's really experienced to look at them and say, which palette is going to work best for you from experience.
Yes.
And so, yeah, we see people on the borderline, but they always lean one way or another once you've really looked deeply into everything.
Okay. Oh, that was a great and very complete response. So quick question on that though. Those people who are borderline, and to your point, yes, I can't tell you how many of my clients have said, oh, I got one done someplace and I was this, and then so that's what you're saying is that they're probably right on the cusp and they just need somebody who's super savvy when it comes to color analysis to be able to determine it for sure. Is that?
Typically, although we get people who have gotten different results from lots of different places, and they're not on the borderline. They're really obvious. And it's sad, but I mean, there is no certifying governing body when it comes to color analysis.
Right.
And so, anybody can start any day saying they're a color analyst and acting like they know something and maybe they don't know anything, and I've seen a lot of color analysis that is based on, I'm like, what is this based on? Because I've seen ads where I'm like, it'll have like 12 different people and they've got their types underneath them. And I'm like, half of those types are completely wrong. What is happening here? So, but yes, I would say in most cases they are a tricky borderline person in terms of their type, and we have a color analysis group chat, and sometimes we have somebody who's really on the borderline of two seasons, and we'll just argue it out over the Slack chat there in the analysis on the analysis team because we've got multiple analysts. And we will look at all the things. We'll ask for more pictures and really make sure we get them the best palette. Yeah.
Okay. Gotcha. Okay. So you brought up a couple of good things. First of all, I just wanted to comment on the hair thing. I thought, yes, I have seen that where they have their hair blacked out or whited out or whatever. And I think that's strange because it's the thing that besides for your clothes, it's even closer to your face than
Yes.
your clothes are. So I would feel like that would definitely be an important thing to know. So I'm glad that you addressed that. So now when we see the white towel, we'll know that that's crazy and move on.
It really is crazy. It's truly crazy. I mean, the hair color makes such a difference. for your overall contrast, for the lightness and depth of your palette. It's huge. And we have something, we just developed something where people can come back to us. I don't know if we'll have this forever. So if you listen to this podcast way down the road, but right now we just basically say to our clients, hey, if you change your hair color drastically, come back to us, send pictures. We'll look at you for free. If you've had an analysis with us, this is just a perk. If you change your hair color, we'll look at you for free and we'll tell you if your palette has changed because we don't want people, wondering, and we don't want them to have to pay for a new color analysis. They already paid for a color analysis. So we're offering that at this point. Yeah.
I love that. I love that. What an extra like added value touch to that. Because
Yeah.
and I'm trying to remember who it was. Oh, so Mary had asked, does your color season / palette change as you get older? Which to your point, I mean, assuming, I mean, granted, our skin loses pigment, our lips, like we all, we lose pigment as we get older, but then also to your point, the hair color can get lighter also, either by nature or by the hairdresser for whatever reason.
Yeah.
So, was there anything else you wanted to add to that one?
Yeah, it's a great question. And the answer is sometimes your color palette changes when you age, and sometimes it doesn't. My grandmother is a winter. She's 99 now. She's still a winter, right? And her hair color has changed. She's gone from dark brown to white, and she's still a winter. She's got dark brown eyes. She's got kind of a medium neutral skin tone, and she's a winter through and through. She'll always be a winter, but we do sometimes see as people go gray, even autumns and springs, who are warm types, once they go gray, if they were kind of near the borderline to begin with, that cool gray hair can push them into being a summer. Typically, it pushes them into the summer category. And so it really is a case by case basis. I wish there was some rule that we could say, if you're this, you could change to this. But mostly I can say we see people moving more than anything from other seasons to summers as they age because summer is the lightest and coolest type. And as you said, we tend to get lighter and cooler with age generally. That's not everybody, but generally, if changes are happening, natural color changes are happening, we're generally getting lighter and cooler. And so we see people moving more to the light, cool season.
Interesting.
Yeah, so interesting, isn't it? And
Yeah,
summers,
it
they have
is.
nowhere to go. So if you're a summer type, you're not really going to move to anything else. You might move from like a calm summer to a moonlit summer, the coolest type, if your hair had some warmth, maybe, But typically, if you're a summer, you're going to be a summer forever.
Okay. Awesome. 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 Well, Mary, I hope that helped. Let's see. What do we have? Oh, this is from Laura. And I neglected to say anything in your introduction, Jeannie, but one of the things that I love so much about your service is that you don't just stop at the color palette itself, right? Like you speak to hair color and you speak to makeup shades and all of that. And it's like when we were talking about the putting the towel over their head, like the only two things that are closer to your face than your clothes are your makeup and your hair. So that is just such a complete, like, tie a bow around the whole thing and make sure every single color you have near your face is flattering. So do you want to talk about that? And then also, let's see, Laura said, how do I communicate that to my hairstylist?
It's a great question. And
Right.
honestly, we created the makeup cards and also the hair color consultations because our customers asked for them. Over and over, they asked for them. So when we first started Color Guru 12 years ago now, we were just doing colors for clothing. That was our specialty. And basically, people kept saying, can we choose our makeup colors from this color card for clothing? And I was like, no, it's not the same. I mean, the reds will look good on your lip. That's about it. But
Right.
like, everything else, no. And so, we do try to offer really the complete package, and the makeup card is an optional add-on. And so that gives you just some go-to makeup colors for, eyeshadow, blush, eyeliner, like a mascara color. Obviously, we don't do foundation. With lip color. Lip color is the other one, obviously. Um, and then the hair color consultations are really helping people really get in that exact right hair color for them or a couple hair color options. And we specifically designed those hair color consultations, which take place on Zoom with one of our hair color consultants who are all stylists who owned or worked in salons and actually did hair color for people. I mean, these are experienced hairstylists who meet with you. And they specifically give you the verbiage to communicate to your stylist what you're looking for. And so they will give you levels and they will give you a whole way to talk to your stylist along with pictures so that you can try one of the hair color recommendations we're giving you. And they also give like an ideal haircut for your face shape. I mean, they just kind of, we don't really advertise that part, but they give a lot extra and our clients really love it.
Oh, I was going to say, and having a hairstylist speak to a hairstylist is at a whole other specificity level than us trying to talk to our hairstylist and go like, did you see that show on Netflix? And the girl, the sister, I love her haircut. Could you
Right.
right? Like, yes.
100%. Yeah.
Because that's exactly what I did last time I was in. I was like, you haven't seen it? Here, let me look. Yes. So that would be, I'm sure my girl would love that a whole lot more. Okay, so let's see here. We had talked about retail and all of that. What kind of suggestions do you have for listeners when it comes to your palette aren't available in a retail store that season? Do you have anything that any tips that we can learn from?
Well, definitely shopping online has come a long way. Do you remember 10 years ago how inaccurate the colors were? They're not anymore. They're really accurate. And the store knows because they'll get returns if the color isn't represented accurately. So they're very careful about that now. So online shopping is sort of the most obvious. And I think this also is a reminder to buy things that are going to last because it's not a big deal if you've got things in your closet that will last for a long time to come. If for one season you're like, well, I can't really find things in my colors right now, you're not stressed about it because you've got things that are staples and things in your closet that were made to last. It's harder when you're buying things that like wear out or lose their shape or fall apart or, whatever, quickly, because then you're kind of in a jam and you're like, oh, I need things and they might not be the ideal things. And I always think it's a win to walk out of a store empty handed. Like, I just think it's a win. It just means you didn't buy something that wasn't really right for you. And
Yes.
it feels like a failure, but I think that's like the retail industry that's taught us it's a failure because they want to make money no matter what, no matter if it's right for you or not. But I think it's a real win to be able to walk out of a store and go, nothing was actually right for me in there. Nothing fit right, was the right color. I love to break down shopping into three things, which color, shape, personal style. If you get a handle on those three things, you can really buy things that you're going to like for years to come. Um, and I think really it is a combination of all three. And so if you walk in and you're like, okay, that might be the right color and the shape, but it's just not my style. Or that might be the right, style and shape, but it's not my color. And it gives you parameters for shopping, which no one else gives us, like nobody teaches us how to shop for clothes. And so I think it can be really tricky, but you need some parameters. And I think just those three things, if you can get a handle on your personal style, if you can get a sense of what shapes you like on your body type, which was game changer for me. I mean, it's such a big deal to get a sense of what you like on your body type. I feel like I disliked my body until I figured out what shapes really work on me. Like, and what shapes they work on me like every time. And I was like, oh, I have too many curves to wear a shift dress. It will never work for me. You know what I mean? I'm not that body type. But for years, I tried on the shift dress and was like, I need to lose weight so this fits, right? Like it's such it's such a huge thing. I
It
can't
is.
speak about the understanding your body type and how you like it dressed.
Yes.
And then color, very important, obviously.
Yes. And I know body shape isn't your jam. And I mean, it's like the basis of everything that I talk about. So I love that you bring that up. And it's so true. When we keep for years trying on a shift dress, or we keep for years trying on, whatever,
Yeah.
wide leg pants, and we can't make them work, we never blame the clothes. We never
Right.
say, oh, that brand or that style or whatever. We always blame ourselves. Always.
Yeah.
And it's so true. I tell clients all the time, nobody ever taught us how to shop unless
Yeah.
you were blessed with a super stylish mom who had it all figured
Right.
out, or maybe a sister, which I did not. I mean,
I did not have
I,
that
I
either.
love
Yeah.
them, but that was just not their strength. You know what I mean? We're just like, we have a credit card, we have a job, we have to buy clothes because we can't go naked. So we have to figure out something. So and then we just never get off the hamster wheel. We just keep
That's right.
buying and replacing and buying, and we don't love anything. And especially because and I forgot to tell the audience that you were petite also, so you definitely know our struggles, and
Yes.
how important body shape is, even more to short girls than it is to normal sized women.
Oh my gosh, I can't even express what a shift it's been for me. A night and day difference. I mean, I'm 5'2", I'm curvy, I have a little waist and big hips, and I really was trying to wear like straight cut clothes. And I was like, oh my gosh, like when I discovered, and I'm short waisted. So when I discovered like high waisted pants and a crop top, I was like, I felt like my body looked so good that I was like, I like what I see. I like my body. When I discovered a fit and flare dress that it works every time, I was like, this is unbelievable. And it's such a big deal because it really does. I don't think people understand the immensity of like what a big deal it is to go into a dressing room almost every time you shop and criticize yourself because you're trying on the wrong clothes for your body. And then you get it right. And you're like, whoa, like I literally would not trade my body type now for any other body type. I mean, part of that is also age. I'm 49 now. So it's like I got it now. I understand what works on me. It took a long time, but like, I wouldn't trade with anybody. I like my curviness. I understand how it all works now. And it's so great to work with somebody like you because it is so much more about building confidence and like learning to love what you actually have rather than wanting to be a different way.
Yes. Amen to the whole. I don't think women realize, because we're just used to it. To your
Yeah.
point, for 50 years, we've been going into dressing rooms, beating ourselves up,
Yeah.
leaving with stuff that we settled for, especially as petites, because there's not, you and I were talking about this before we hit record, but there's just not as many petite sizes out there. So we end up settling, and, we just don't realize the toll that it takes on our confidence. And then of course the confidence translates to everything else we do in life. So
100%. 100%.
yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. So, speaking to short girls and color, do you have any tips on how we can use color? Because I tell my clients, it's not that we want to look taller. The majority of us love the height that we have. That's not the point. However, sometimes with unwise style choices and things like that, we can look even shorter, which has a
Yes.
tendency to make us look wider. So that's our goal, is to just make savvy petite style choices so that we can show off the parts of our body that we love the most. So
Yeah.
what would your suggestions be on how we can use color to reinforce the height that we do have?
Yeah, I think, the most basic one for me and the one that I dress by almost all of the time is I feel more balanced in my clothes because I'm a bit bigger on the bottom and a bit smaller on the top. And I want to accentuate my waist a lot. And so I feel like darker on the bottom, lighter on the top always works better for me. It just makes my top and bottom look more balanced and more proportional. And I like that. And I think the opposite can be the same. If you're wanting to look a little smaller on your top and a little bigger on your bottom, making those, the darker on top and the lighter on bottom can really do that. And it's such a simple thing, but I find myself almost never wanting to wear a dark top and lighter pants. Just for me, that combination throws me a little more out of proportion, you know? And so that's a really simple one. I think also I really do like sort of all one color and all one long line of color, you know, can be um, uh, so attractive and so elongating. You know, I do like the way my body looks with one long line of color. And then I've also noticed, just for me, and this might be like a me preference, but being 5'2", I mean, I'm 5'2" barely, probably more like 5'1.5". Like I see 5'2". But being 5'2" and on the smaller side in general, I do find that often like high contrast patterns overwhelm me really quickly. And so I kind of like to generally keep the pattern that I wear a little lower contrast. Part of that is coloring as well, because I don't have like strong contrast between my hair, skin, and eyes like some people do. And those two things together people can generally pull off a really bold pattern if they have high contrast color wise, which means a strong difference between hair, skin, and eye color. And then also being taller or broader, sometimes it can be easier to carry off those really bold, intense patterns. For me, when I put them on, I'm like, wow, I'm overwhelmed really fast.
Yeah.
My body just sort of feels a little swallowed up by it.
Uh-huh.
Um, and so those are some things that I have learned that I think help.
I love that. And yes, I love monochromatic.
Me
A
too.
100%. And besides for the whole being short thing and how flattering it is on short girls, besides for all of that, I think it's so classic, so tasteful, so timeless, no matter
Yeah.
what style you are. I mean, you can wear that column of color from
Yeah.
here in 20 years from now and still look amazing. So I love that you brought that up.
100%. Yeah, I totally agree.
Okay, awesome. Okay, so Jeannie, is there anything that I or my clients have not asked that you feel like I cannot believe they didn't ask that?
Oh, yes. This is a
Okay.
question that I'm sure some of your listeners have because I get
Okay.
it all the time. So let's talk about it. So some people ask about, some people have a skin tone that really changes from winter to summer. And they ask, can that change my color palette? Like, let's say I'm very fair in the winter, but then the summer comes and I can deeply tan. Now we're talking about a natural tan here. We're
Right.
not talking about spray tans. But it's a really interesting answer because good quality color analysis should be based on your undertones, and your undertones don't change. Even if you look very fair in the winter and then can get deeply tan in the summer, you have an undertone that is able to do that. And a good color analysis should be based on that undertone. And so you will look just as good in the colors from your palette in the winter as you will in the summer. And so that's a question we get a lot. And I think it's really an important one because people think like, oh, my palette's going to change. My skin appears different. But really, the undertone doesn't change. The skin tone, these are two different things, skin tone and undertone. Skin tone is a question of light versus deep. And then undertone is a question of what is that color that sits right under the skin that shows through the skin. And we're looking at that when we do a color analysis.
You're absolutely right. That is a great question. And I'm so glad that you brought that up because, yes, it can change dramatically with some people.
To
The other
some
thing that
people,
it made
yeah.
me think of is I had a client last week and she made some comment about, well, now that we're moving into winter, I'm going to lose all my color. And, my winter palette feels like it washes me out. And now I'm thinking, well, it's probably because those colors are wrong for her.
Probably.
Whatever colors she feels like are washing her out have nothing to do with her skin tone.
Correct.
It's just, yes. Interesting. Okay. All right.
Yes.
Okay. Awesome. Well, thank you
Yeah.
so much for adding that because that was like incredibly valuable right there. Now, Jeannie, I know my listeners are going to be completely charmed by you and want to keep in touch, stay in touch, and all of that. So, how can they go about doing that?
So we are on Instagram at Your Color Guru. And then our website is colorguru.com. So you can keep in touch with us there.
Awesome. And then I will also put the link to having their color analysis done in the show notes so that everybody can tap into that.
Amazing.
Awesome. Jeannie, thank you again so much for coming on today, sharing all of your color analysis knowledge with us. I know that there's going to be so many women out there whose lives that you made easier and getting dressed and all of that. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me. It's such a pleasure.